Because you don't want to miss a thing. Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
All right, time to check in with Tom Mulcair. Our feature brought to you by Guaranteed Industries. They are a Lennox premier dealer, so for high-efficiency Lennox furnaces, even heat pumps, give them a call, 514-342-3400, or online, guaranteedindustries.com. They have been in business since 1957. Tom, before I ask you to comment on Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau, I should mention, I know you're a fan, Judas Priest is in town tonight.
Ooh!
Yeah, so just in case you forgot.
Second only to Alice Cooper in my head.
There you go. All right, listen, this is Judas. This is Justin Trudeau in the studio earlier this afternoon, and we had a chance to speak for quite a while. And the question, of course, the by-election coming up in Amart-LaSalle-Verdun is on everyone's mind, including his. And I asked about it and why it's important. Here's what he said.
Well, I mean, I think this is a moment of a choice. It's a choice about the kind of country we want to have, and that's what the next election is really going to be. But simple things like, are we going to choose to continue to fight climate change? Are we going to go backwards? Are we going to continue to stand up for minorities? Are we going to still continue to stand up for diversity? Or are we going to go backwards? Are we going to let wedge politics carry us through? Or are we going to actually vote for our values? And the big choice, I mean, you say it's a three-way race. One of them is the Bloc. The Bloc has always come in second in this riding, and getting them in when they just want to make everything freeze and nothing work and pick fights wherever they can, well, that's not a right choice for Verdun. We know that.
Interesting, because now, of course, the Bloc kind of holds the balance of power after the NBC ripped up that agreement. So what do you think of what you heard?
Well, I think that Trudeau is in the fight of his life, Aaron, and one of the things that I'm going to be fascinated to see on Monday is whether he decides to actually go in on the first day. The last couple of times he's not, usually waits for the Tuesday or more certainly the Wednesday to go in. So I'm anxious to see, because he told his caucus this week. So I'm looking forward to having a fight with Poilievre, but I'll tell you that Poilievre's going to be there on the first day. So we'll look at that one.
Hold on, you're talking about the first day when the House of Commons resumes sitting.
Which is also
I
Monday.
I thought you meant the by-election. Okay.
No, this is all happening Monday. Mm-hmm. Monday is the most fateful day in Justin Trudeau's political career. That's why he's out there working so hard. And by the way, his lines were great. He was just great now in his interview at CJAD 800. He was great when he was out in St. Anne de Bellevue at Lightspeed making his announcement out there. I mean, he's working hard. He's a very adept politician, okay? Let's not take anything away from Justin Trudeau. But where it falls down is after 9 years of talking about, for example, climate change. Canada's record on climate change, don't take my word for it. Go read the successive reports. We have an objective person who's under the aegis of the Auditor General. It's Canada's Commissioner for Environment and Sustainable Development. Right now it's a fellow named Jerry DeMarco. Before that, it was Julie Gelfand. Both of them, report after report after report, saying to Parliament, you have no plan to respect Canada's obligations to respect the Paris Accord. Trudeau talks about his carbon tax. A carbon tax is a tax. Can it bring down greenhouse gases? Theoretically. Has it brought them down in Canada? No. Why has it taken so long? Trudeau has no answer for that. He's finger pointing at Singh and at Poilievre. Poilievre is in bad faith, by the way. Trudeau is right when he says that Poilievre is lying with the number that he just put up. And it's rare to hear Trudeau use words like that, but he's right. But what Trudeau cannot answer is why after 9 years, Canada's greenhouse gases are still going up and you're still approving massive offshore oil projects like you did in Newfoundland, Labrador, offshore there. So this is the type of thing that Trudeau tries to have both ways. He wants to have you believe how horrible Poilievre is. He talks about a plan to do something. He's got the sketch of a plan to do something. He's bringing in a tax. But unlike what we did when we fought successfully against acid rain, Canada with the U.S. brought in a cap guaranteed a result to get rid of SO2 in particular that was mixing with water and causing acid, H2SO4, so zero acid, falling forest. They got the result. Trudeau has not gotten the results. So it's one thing for him to say the other guy's his political adversary, but what he's saying is not credible himself in terms of the actual result.
What do you make then today? So the NDP, it seems every other day now, we're coming up with something. And today it's this idea that Jagmeet Singh, I think, announced earlier in the day, or maybe this was yesterday, that they're now pulling out of the carbon tax agreement as well. They're going with the Conservatives on this. And
Trudeau had very harsh words for Singh. And frankly, I agree with Trudeau on that one because Singh has caved. Okay, let's not kid ourselves, because it's the same thing that's happening in British Columbia right now. They're in a tough-fought election that's announced. The NDP's in power in British Columbia, one of the two provinces where they're in power. The other one's Manitoba. They don't need it. They don't have an election for another 3 years. They're fine. BC's got an election coming up, and carbon tax is going to be on the front burner. The Conservatives, out of nowhere, reconstituted themselves in BC, knocked out the other party that used to be called the Liberals, but they were the right-wing party. They collapsed. They've actually folded one into the other. It's a bit of a mess as they're heading into it. But they've got a really strong head of steam. And they're going to be taking them on the carbon tax. This is going to be a dry run for Poilievre's lines. So they're panicking. So yesterday, the BC NDP started saying, well, this carbon tax thing, we're not too keen on it. This is a party that was so strong talking about climate change that's folding its tent. And Singh is doing the same thing. He's got the same numbers. He's got the same polling. He looks at it and says, Poilievre is winning this argument with Canadian voters. By the way, the reason why we don't care about it that much in Quebec is because the carbon tax does not apply here.
Right.
It's worth mentioning that to people, because we have a cap-and-trade system with California. It's called the Western Climate Initiative. So we're out of the tax thing. But in the provinces where it's in, Poilievre is playing a silly game because he knows that people will be getting these rebate checks, and Trudeau is completely right. 8 out of 10 Canadian families will make more money with the rebates than they're paying into the system.
Okay, let's deal with one other issue here. I want to know what you think about this. So you have now the Bloc in a position where conceivably, hypothetically maybe is a better word, they could choose to bring down the government if there's a non-confidence vote, and we expect that will happen fairly early next week. But
yes.
I heard Yves-François Blanchet on with Elias the other morning, and it seemed to me like, okay, we know we're in this position, kind of like to be in this position, and it'll be a you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. But then I heard Justin Trudeau go off, you'd heard him in that clip I played, basically calling the Bloc out as well. So how does this play out?
He has no choice but to call the Bloc out, because if he showed the slightest interest in having a deal with them, in accommodating them, he'd get pummeled in the rest of Canada. Look at Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, already going after him on a totally hypothetical deal with the Bloc, because the Bloc, again, playing good politics, but dangerous politics, last weekend getting everybody to understand that as far as they're concerned, they're going to get some booty out of the Liberals if they want to keep voting for them. You can be sure that NDP Singh has no intent of bringing down the government. And there's an order of voting on a confidence motion. So the party that presents it, it'll be the Conservatives, vote first. They've got the largest number of seats. Who's next? It's the Bloc. They can make all sorts of head fakes, but they'll wind up probably voting with the Conservatives on this thing, knowing that they're just going to push Singh into a corner. He's going to have no choice but to cave again and vote with Justin Trudeau after saying all those tough things against Justin Trudeau. Now, why is all this happening in the same 72 hours? Well, it's very simple. It's the same reason all of them are lining up at the door of CJAD 800 on René Lévesque and Papineau, trying to get in so that they can get interviews, because they've got this incredibly important by-election. Second time, Aaron, second time this year, we'll have gone through a massive change because of one by-election. Joël Boutin resigns in Quebec City. By-election up there in Jean Talon riding. Legault goes into a tailspin that he still hasn't recovered from. He's still well behind the PQ. Same thing. David Lametti fired without explanation, and he goes off to a big law firm, and then his riding comes up for grabs in a by-election. If Trudeau loses that one, and he very well could, the information I'm getting on the doorstep is going to be close between the Liberals and the Bloc. I think the Bloc has it by a nose. And if the Bloc does wind up winning that safe Liberal riding that they've won election after election after election, that still includes large parts, it's not exactly the same riding, but it still includes large parts of Paul Martin's fiefdom, the LaSalle part. Well, good luck for Justin Trudeau facing his caucus. After he lost Toronto St. Paul's last June, that's when tongues started wagging. People started saying, hey, this is enough. This guy's got to go. If he manages to lose this one on Monday, all bets are off about his political future. That's why Monday, with the return of Parliament and this by-election, is, I believe, the most fateful day in Justin Trudeau's political, his history, his whole experience, his whole career.
We have to wrap up. I want to know from you, and I realize that perhaps it's a bit of an unfair question. So whenever he does...
Well, let's do it anyway.
Okay. Whenever he does show up in the House, let's say there's a non-confidence motion, How do you expect it to play out?
Non-confidence motion, I think that as things stand now, obviously, it's going to come from the Conservatives. I do think that for the time being, the Bloc will vote for it, but they might be the ones to signal that they're going to vote with the Conservatives and bring down the government, that'll put pressure on Singh. I think that as long as he can, Singh will keep stalling, keep excusing, and find a way to support Trudeau despite all the tough talk against Trudeau. So I don't think the government's going to fall this fall. I think it'll probably fall after Christmas on a budget, although there will be a fall economic update, and that's another very fraught vote because that really becomes a question of confidence. And if it's a mess or if the government is trying to hide stuff and they get caught on it, then that would put a lot of pressure on the opposition parties to bring them down.
And that's where we will leave it. Tom, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you.